Today I will be discussing about workplace anxiety and how to perform at your best without burning out, and which strategies you can apply on yourself, which questions you can ask yourself if you are experiencing considerable anxiety levels, and how to understand what are your sources of anxiety and how you can ask yourself solution focused breath therapy questions and acceptance commitment therapy questions, and how can you understand yourself better and to decrease the possibility of burnout and exhaustion. So maybe you spend a lot of your waking hours in your workplace environments where there is a lot of performance pressure, interpersonal complexity, problems, and constant demand for more, and they become your daily reality. And workplace anxiety also can be impacting your relationships. And if you are experiencing anxiety for a long time, this might cause burnout and exhaustion. And it also can impact your performance levels. So the more you achieve, generally, there are higher expectations, the more anxiety about maintaining that level of performance. And this escalating cycle is extremely common in high performing workplaces and high achieving individuals, and it has no natural ceiling without deliberate intervention. And performance evaluation anxiety can be another source of uh, workplace anxiety. If you are constantly being evaluated, there are formal reviews, informal judgment, comparison to peers, and another source of anxiety can be interpersonal anxiety. There might be conflict, difficult relationships, office politics, and another source is an uncertainty anxiety. It can be related with role security, company direction, career trajectory, or imposter anxiety, where people do not imposter anxiety, where people might have some automatic thoughts about themselves as if they are incapable, that as if they are imposter and they don't deserve to be in this place, or they are not good enough, and this also might be causing anxiety and impacting your performance. So, and there is a false dichotomy of productivity well-being. Many professionals believe that in order to perform well, that they must accept high anxiety as the cost, and this is normal and it has to be all the time like this. However, research shows that constant chronic anxiety might impair precisely cognitive functioning that are most needed for high-level professional performance. It can also impact creative thinking, nuanced judgment, interpersonal effectiveness, and strategic perspective. Therefore, this data shows that it's important to learn to regulate and manage anxiety levels in order to decrease harm of anxiety, and also not to make anxiety levels to impact your daily functioning. And how we can achieve this is, first of them is tracking our thoughts. Anytime when you are noticing that you have high levels of anxiety, try to notice which thoughts you have at that moment. Maybe you have a lot of high standards for yourself and you think, I must prove myself constantly. I cannot afford any mistakes. And even these thoughts, these beliefs can be making a lot of pressure on you. And this can be one of the sources of anxiety. But once you are able to notice these thoughts, you can relate to them differently. And you can try to approach yourself with compassion, with kindness, and to accept the fact that people can make mistakes, or that you don't have to prove yourself all the time, that your worth doesn't depend on constantly performing well. And these stories, if a person is fused with these stories, with these beliefs, they might start to impact their mood and increase anxiety levels, create chronic anxiety that impacts their performance, relationships, and overall well-being. Therefore, anytime when you notice this thought, stepping back, realizing how useful is it for you to believe these thoughts, and what relationship you can create with these thoughts for it to be more helpful for you, are the first steps that you can take. And also asking yourself, what kind of professional do I want to be, regardless of evaluation? If all the evaluation has disappeared, if nobody was evaluating me or assessing me, what I would like to do with my time, and what's important for me. And asking yourself these questions would help you to find out some clues about yourself, what matters for you. And when you focus on what you love, what you want to achieve, it's easier to decrease anxiety levels and to stay calm, because initially, when you are constantly trying to be perfect or acting from the place of fear, anxiety might increase. But when you change your perspective, when you change the way you see your work, generally it gets easier to manage your feelings and to stay calm. Because if, for instance, you value relationships, communicating with people, connecting with people would be important for you, and this would make suffering more acceptable, and it will encourage you, motivate you to take action, even knowing that maybe you might do mistakes, make mistakes, or knowing that we are not perfect. And generally, when we start taking action, anxiety decreases. And acceptance of workplace uncertainty. Sometimes maybe you feel stressed and anxious about uncertainty. Anytime when uncertainty emerges related with your work, with your studies, with your career or your relationships, and uncertainty might seem as something as scary because you're not familiar with it and you don't know what will be there. However, if you consider more closely, actually, we can see uncertainty everywhere, in almost every aspect of our lives, because there are certain things we can control and we cannot control everything, and there is a lot of uncertainty in everything, in our roles, in future and outcomes is inherent to professional life. And these things sometimes they cannot be resolved through working more or more vigilance or more performance. And realizing these factors that are outside of our control can also decrease your levels of anxiety and change your relationship with uncertainty. And instead of perceiving uncertainty as something to feel scared, you can try to see it as an opportunity to create, to love, to contribute, and to motivate, or to add any meaning that's important for you, that's valuable for you. And when have you felt most effective or engaged at work? What were the conditions? Who was around you? What was the environment? What helped you to manage workplace pressure? Maybe, for instance, you were using some of your hobbies, maybe music, maybe reading books or researching, or what was helping you to get more engaged, to feel less anxious? And if you can answer to these questions, you can find out some resources for yourself. And according to research, anxiety is decreased. If your work anxiety is decreased by 30%, what would you be doing differently right now? How would you know that anxiety is decreasing, and what will be filling the place of anxiety, and how would you notice that anxiety is decreasing, and what would other people notice about you? These questions build solutions from existing workplace strengths that you already have, and they are reminding you about your resilience and capability. And research shows that high achievers who set clear work time limits and recovery periods perform better long term, not worse. And even if it can seem as if it's something selfish, but when you consider long term, if you are able to rest, if you are able to have time for yourself, you will be able to work more, to work better, to perform better in a long time. Therefore, according to Sprint model, brief periods of intense focused work followed by general recovery were found to be the most increasing performance and decreasing anxiety levels. And if you are using a marathon model without recovery, constantly pushing yourself forward and constantly trying to be at your best, this just causes progressive performance degradation, because everybody needs recovery, everybody needs time for themselves to rest. And according to imposter phenomenon in workplace performance, 70% of high achievers are generally having imposter syndrome at some point, and they might have some thoughts that people will find out that you are not good enough, or they might maybe questioning their capabilities, features. And when you are able to notice these thoughts, you can create another relationship with these thoughts and realize that these are just thoughts and they don't have to define who you are. And even if there are certain times when you make some mistakes or your performance levels decrease, this doesn't define who you are. And there are different versions of you, there are successful versions of you. Sometimes we are performing better, sometimes we are performing worse, and it's just normal way of being a human, and we cannot control all the outcomes. And maybe times of failures or times of less performance can show us about what we need in order to succeed better, or we can also find out what we need in order to rest more, in order to function more. And also asking why this work is important for you, why your studies are important, or why the task you are trying to complete is important for you, and what version of you would like to see, regardless of imposter feelings. And when you can find out your why, it generally makes suffering more acceptable, and people can still take steps even when feeling that they are not ready, or they are not capable, or they are not good enough. And decision making under workplace anxiety. According to research, when people are stressed a lot, or when they are having constant anxiety or high levels of anxiety, decision making is impaired because of brain changes in your brain changes and brain chemistry, and it might be difficult to concentrate, or it can be difficult to make decisions. And chronic workplace anxiety impairs decision making in certain ways. For instance, there is increased risk aversion, avoiding decisions that could go wrong, or there might be prevalent short-term thinking, seeking immediate resolution over optimal long-term choices. And also maybe confirmation bias amplification might be in play. This means that if you have certain belief, and you are trying to find information that confirms existing beliefs, however, there can be other side of the coin also on other beliefs. And just because you believe in this, maybe you are finding this this information, and you are noticing it more. And managing anxiety levels directly improves decision quality. That's why it's important to learn to manage anxiety levels, to regulate your emotions. And everyone's situation is different, and you need to find your own unique ways of regulating your emotions by asking questions: what helped you to stay more focused, more calm, more confident, or courageous in the past, even during times of stress? And which version would you like to see at times of stress or anxiety? And where did you see these versions more often in the past? Was it when you using mindfulness, meditation, being more physically active, maybe engaged with music, or more socially active? So you can find your own answers in the past, and what contributed for this to happen. What was there about you that brought this success? And once you find answers to these questions, you can use these resources and that are available for you for the future cases. And according to research-supported workplace recovery, psychological detachment during lunch breaks, even for 20 minutes of genuine non-work engagement, can significantly improve afternoon performance. And end of day shutdown ritual, at the end of the day closing your computer and maybe writing down plan for tomorrow, and noticing what you couldn't complete and making plan, or protecting genuine vacation time when you are on vacation, not continuing digitally, or creating some time for yourself, personal time. So these workplace recovery practices, according to research, make performance much better, and people are able to be more productive, even if they cannot change the levels of stress. And workplace values clarity. What kind of professional do you want to be in your work, in your relationships, in your career, and in what do you want to contribute, regardless of outcome or evaluation? These questions help you to ground professional behavior in values rather than anxiety management. And like, well, if you can choose what motivates you, what's important for you, if you can find out your values, you can always go to that direction and may never achieve it, and you won't feel disappointed or upset with it because you were taking steps, you were making efforts. And whenever you set some certain goal where you don't include your values or what's important for you, then it's more likely that you will feel burnout, exhausted, or experience depression symptoms because the goals that you set didn't include the meaning that's important for you. So, workplace exceptions also. When have you felt most effective and least anxious at work? What were the conditions? What have you done differently? What was the work environment like? And which strategies, habits were you using to cope with stress? And extracting specific conditions and work to replicate them can also help. And as we have already said, 20 minutes genuine break, protecting one genuine non-work break per day at minimum during lunch, where you will not check your emails, you will not check your messages, and will not think about your work, and genuine psychological detachment. Research shows that this significantly improves afternoon cognitive performance and end-of-day resilience. Therefore, understanding what might help for you and using these strategies more often is one of ways of managing anxiety and performing at your best, even if you cannot change the stress levels. And imposter diffusion practices. When you notice that your mood is changing or anxiety is high, you can try to notice your thoughts at work. Maybe and noticing these thoughts would help you to realize that these are just thoughts, and you are not your thoughts, you are not your feelings, and thoughts are coming and passing, they can be automatic. And asking yourself, what values align action would I take right now if I trusted my competence? And taking that action, what's the smallest step I can take right now to help myself and to perform better despite these thoughts is another strategy. Mindfulness meditation is incredibly helping to calm down and to manage your emotions. And many people think that mindfulness or meditation are just sitting and using yoga strategies. However, you can use a lot of mindfulness meditation practices in your daily life. For instance, while you are not eating, noticing the shape, the structure, the taste of your food, or when you are walking, noticing the colors around you, the sounds around you, and uh, and you can research. There are a lot of different ways of using mindfulness meditation. There is a lot of research that it's been helpful to decrease anxiety levels, to manage your feelings, and to perform better. So I have shared with you a lot of strategies using acceptance, commitment therapy, and solution-focused brief therapy, and some research on anxiety, how you can perform better if you are experiencing stress in your work, and how you can decrease exhaustion, burnout levels. I hope this session was helpful for you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. And if you want to learn more, you can always leave your questions in the comments. Take good care of yourself and see you in the next videos again.